pop culture, everything is permitted.
Welcome to episode 79 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I am your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-hosts, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, and the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. I would ask this week how you guys are doing, but I already know because I'm right.
The movie sucked. Yeah, I thought I was tired this week, and then I watched that movie, and I was like, I am mentally, physically, and emotionally drained. There is no way I can continue as a human being now.
It's like Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows draining the life out of you.
No, that's what it felt like. I've never felt less joy watching a film.
Oh, man.
What the fuck, Colin Robinson?
Remember when there was the other energy drain vampire at work?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's the girl from SNL, Vanessa.
Yeah.
What's her race? Vanessa Bayer.
Yes.
Bayer? Yeah.
Oh, well.
5 o'clock somewhere.
It's been an experience.
It felt good to laugh. I haven't laughed in 24 hours.
This week, Mando came flying in with another great episode directed by Mr. Carl Weathers himself. That was exciting. We'll be talking about The Mandalorian Chapter 12. We'll be breaking all that down. Also, we'll be talking about whether or not comic apps on tablets and smartphones impact the comic industry or not, and how we, during this time specifically, to digest our comics. Finally, my dear friend, it is the return of your favorite segment, your brainchild.
Yeah.
It is the season 4 debut of
Bargain Bin is back, and that's why I'm going to hell.
This gave me Robin Hood flashbacks, but then it made it worse. If it was possible to be stuck in the hell that PTSD takes you to.
I wish that our schedules, that I wasn't working, because we could have watched it together maybe.
I don't think it would have made it better.
Well, we could have MST3K'd it at least.
We could have. That's true. The hell was so bad that Anubis wouldn't even greet you at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot to get through today. But before we do that, Brittany, how can people support our show?
Well, you're definitely going to want to after this episode, because you're going to hear our Raiders of the Bargain Bin, which is always our best segment. But you're going to want to head to everythingispermitted.com, click on our Patreon tab. It'll shoot you over to our Patreon page, and then you can select either $2 a month or $5 a month, whatever you prefer. If you hear this at the end, that's all the reason to contribute, because we just do more insane stuff in those segments.
You want more? You want more Bargain Bin?
Do you want to hear us suffer?
Do you want to
hear us laugh and cry and joy?
I would say, are you not entertained? But that's referencing a way better movie.
It is. It is.
Matt, I would hope that people would give us a 5-star review after hearing this week's Bargain Bin, but how can they go about doing that if they can't support the show via Patreon?
Wherever you listen to Everything is Permitted, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, you name it, just go and give us a 5-star review. Tell us how much you love us. We feed on it. Much like Apophis, apparently.
Apophis. Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
Go back and watch Stargate.
It's 1 star for every dollar increment that the film is worth. Supposedly, Bargain Bin movies are $5 or less, like Bargain Bin stuff you'd find in, a Walmart bin or something.
I am certain I have seen Gods of Egypt in the Bargain Bin.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
I am pretty certain I've seen it.
And every time I'm like, would never watch that. But I'm like, oh, Chadwick.
I'm not going to save this joke for when we get there because I have to say it.
Better not steal one of mine.
I probably am. But Karen and I were watching the end, and Apophis, who was a giant dune sandworm in this movie for some fucking stupid reason.
As soon as he popped up, I was like,
is like gonna take out Egypt, and I just looked at the screen. I'm like, hashtag not my Apophis. Where's my Goa'uld symbiote, man?
Right.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the dune worm really got me.
Yeah.
The multiple dune worms really... Or no, there were snakes.
There were
2 snakes and then a dune worm.
We will get there. We will get there. But before we do...
we have to journey there.
Let's do some rants and raves. Go.
First,
you are ready.
I want to thank our patrons.
Oh, we should do that. We should do that.
Speaking of wonderful people who support our show and join our Patreon for amazing content like this, I want to give a thanks. You know what? I'm going to give a very tired thanks. I want each person to feel how I feel about this film. I'll start off with the beginning. Billy Pete's? Because that's how I felt when the title came up. No intro, just the title. Heather Reppert. God, they're all white. Rob Migliaccio. Here come the English accents. Michael Cox. I know just like 3 actors, but God, why are they in this movie? Nikki Veazey. Oh, look, there's Chadwick Boseman. Matt Moore. Oh, he already left the scene. Cabria Wimbush. Apparently they have morphing powers. All right. Rob Carter. Of course that dude died in one hit. And Kyle McClinton. Another 360 camera pan during a fight scene, which is absolutely horrendous.
Oh God.
I've seen you hate on a movie before, but damn, you are in a mood.
Oh, I have so much to talk about.
This
That was
movie
just
crushed
the
us.
Tip of the
think
iceberg.
this movie may have crushed Brittany the most.
It did. I think I was in a vulnerable state upon watching it. I was so tired, and I was like, do I watch Mandalorian tonight or this movie? And I was like, well, I'm going to have time tonight to watch. I'll watch Mando in the morning. In retrospect, I'm glad now I did that because Mandalorian at least made me feel somewhat alive this morning. But man, last night I was so angry, so alone, so sad. I took to Twitter to complain and they liked it.
Oh man.
Well, maybe you have something good to talk about, or maybe some more bad to talk about. Let's hit some rants and raves.
Why don't you go first?
I'll
Julian?
go
I know
first.
you wanna-
Okay,
I know you want to rave.
I
and don't-
actually have a rave this week, and a
Yay.
rave only.
It's about Baby Yoda.
No, it's about Assassin's Creed.
Ooh.
Oh my fucking God, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, these new AC games that they've come out with the past few years, Origins, Odyssey, and now Valhalla, have just been works of art and masterpieces. I said to Eric as I was starting Valhalla from Geeks with Kids, I said to him, this might be the best intro to an Assassin's Creed game I've ever played. Like, just like the story and the gravitas of the whole situation. And then I got through it. And, you know, one thing I always like to do when I start a new video game is IGN usually puts up a good list, like 7 things to do first to like get you situated. I didn't use IGN's. I think I used like, I don't know, Screen Rants, because I think they do video game stuff too. I used someone's and it said, yeah, you know, do this, do that, and oh, you should like definitely check out Norway, but like only spend an hour there because, you know, you really want to get to England because that's when it opens up. I'm like, an hour? Nah, dude, I did a lot of Norway, and I know you can go back at any time.
Yeah, I did too.
I'm one of those people that takes their time and does all the side things and maybe gets to a story mission every 5 or 10 hours. I like doing all the side quests first. That's just how I play. So I think I took like 4 or 5 hours before I even got to England.
Dude, I was actually going to rave about Valhalla as well because it's funny. I found that cave early on with the Dranger, I think is how you say it, and that dude just like wrecked me.
Oh, you tried to fight him?
I did, because I was like, yeah, I'll try and fight him. You know, how hard could he be? And then he just like, boop, just one hit me. So I remembered him.
I got one hit by one of the Templar knights.
Oh, the nomad. Or no, the Zealots.
Yeah, the Zealots, because I was in an area that wasn't like
I'm now killing them.
Yeah,
I'm now killing the Zealots. I'm like 100-something level.
Yeah, I love this game. I'm so happy with it. It's awesome being a Viking and raiding and hearing like their version of the sea shanties that we've gotten in Odyssey and in Black Flag. Dude, it's such a good game, and it's so great to see the franchise hop into the 60 frames per second. I know it's not native 4K, it's upscaled 4K, but it doesn't even matter because it's still beautiful. It's such a good game. So hats off to Ubisoft. I can't when I'm done editing and getting the show up today. That's what I'm doing. Again.
No, I'll fire up Valhalla as soon as we're done recording today for like an hour or two before I get.
I'm either gonna pass out or play Miles Morales. We'll see how
you
it
should
goes.
do Miles to make you happy, and then take.
I probably will.
Go hit some happy sleep.
I finished the auction descriptions. Then in the few hours I have before they end, I play Miles, and then when they end, I have my computer on my lap and I keep playing Miles now, and then I just hit closed. Like every minute that they close, and then I pause it, spend the next 30 minutes like announcing winners, but then I'm like, Miles. So that's the only day I really get to play.
And I will say this, I spent I bought some stuff because I like buying the cosmetic shit. Like I gave Ubisoft more money. And one of the things I like to do is I unlocked one of it unlocks like what you see on the screen.
Yeah.
So like where things are located.
Yeah, I bought that map
Yeah.
too.
And it looks overwhelming, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I still feel less overwhelmed by what's on this screen than I did on Odyssey. So that's a good thing, at least.
There is, so I also will let you know that there is an ability, and I have to remember where it is. I would say, like, get that ability quick, because that will help you get to certain things easier. It's like it fires the explosive arrow, which will blow open.
Is that
It's in the archery. It's in the archery. Oh God, no! It's an ability. Where did I get it though? I can't.
it's like one of the
you
like the books of
assign
knowledge.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I forget
I'll look it
where
up when I
is.
get home and I'll go find it.
Yeah,
That's
because
easy.
I have the first tier of it, and I cannot tell you how goddamn useful it's been. So I'm not looking for a little flaming jar
Right.
of oil to put down or throw at the thing.
No, man, I love the game. I love it. I can't wait to play more of it.
No, I also love it. I was also going to rave about it. And now I will kind of preface this and say that Ubisoft, the company, is terrible. Like all the stuff that's come out about them, about
Yes.
the abuse of their employees and stuff like that. They are an absolutely shit show of a company. So, but however, I fully acknowledge like the position I'm in where they make something that I very much love. So I'm
and remember too, right? Like that's like the developers are the people that are bringing you this game. Like
Yeah.
they've made this game for you, so like that's who you're tipping your hat.
yeah,
to.
absolutely. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla is such a joy to play. You know, as you said, like it seems a little overwhelming at first, especially if you get the map unlock thing. You know, just because I didn't feel like going through every crevice, like looking for Roman statue heads and stuff
Right.
like that, and blah 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 blah. So, and I mean, I found that I actually really enjoy kind of sweeping an area of the map. You know, grabbing everything and doing everything, and it's so much fun. I just made it to London. Now I'm in London, so I'm running around, and my guy is like over leveled for London, so London has like no idea what's about to hit. I'm like 30 something levels over London's like minimum bar, plus all my abilities and everything. Like I'm basically gonna run through London like Lancelot in the Holy Grail part.
So instead of London calling, you're London calling.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm still here. I may be tired, but I'm still here.
Ooh, that was a good one. Brittany, rant or rave?
I have a little rave. We've been doing lots of big organization projects around the store, and they're really starting to come together in an awesome way. So part of the reason I'm tired this week is because on Wednesday night I stayed here until almost 1 a.m. and installed these new shelving units upstairs that were able to like fit a lot more in the same amount of space. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's nice. Customers are noticing more that like the store is really coming together. It's easier to find stuff. So yeah. I'm just excited for more awesome projects for the store. It's just having the time and the man hours and manpower to do half of the things we want to do.
Yeah.
Every week passes by so quickly, and we're like, it's already Friday again. It's already Saturday, and we're like, we had like 8 things we wanted to do, but too many customers. We got to help them first. So.
Not a bad thing though.
Oh yeah,
Nope.
no, I'm not.
Too
not
many
going to complain. Yeah.
customers.
But like there's sometimes I'm like, I have 5 things I want to do this Saturday, but then I get in and I'm like, it's Saturday. I literally am never not. I can't move from behind the counter unless I'm grabbing something for somebody. I'm like, I'm stuck there for 8 hours straight. There's no time, which is good.
Nice. Well, I haven't seen them in person. I saw your pictures, but when we're done here, I'm going to go up and
Yeah, the pictures
appreciate
don't do
them.
it justice.
Take
You
a
stand there and
gander.
it's real nice.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, these are big. It's deep. They're like, you can't tell in the picture, but they're very deep. Like you can stack a lot in.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty sweet.
Anybody have anything else? Rants, raves?
No, we need to advance.
We need to
'cause
advance.
We have
advance.
stuff to get
We
to.
do. Let's do it. It is time for
The permitted minute.
It is the permitted minute, and we're going to go here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Gata, start the clock.
If you notice that the Chrysler building is missing from Spider-Man Miles Morales, good news, you're not crazy. The building was removed due to a copyright issue since the building was up for sale in late 2019.
Sticking with Miles, there's a street in the game named Chadwick Boseman Way, which forms a bit after 42nd Street. Chadwick became the breakout star after playing Jackie Robinson, who wore number 42.
Speaking of our king, Black Panther 2 will start shooting in July with Letitia Wright rumored to be picking up the mantle.
Wonder Woman 1984 will release on Christmas Day, both in theaters and on HBO Max. No word yet if there will be an added fee, but the film will not stream in 4K as the service does not support UHD yet.
The CW DC series Black Lightning will come to an end after its 4th season.
Disney Plus has surpassed 70 million subscribers, and Mulan still costs an extra $30 to watch. Get the fuck out of here.
Deadpool 3 is apparently a go as Marvel Disney moves forward. The Molyneux sister of Bob's Burgers fame will write the script.
Boom, with about 6 seconds left. I forgot to put an S after sister.
It's
That's
okay.
my
I didn't know.
bad.
I didn't know what that
Yeah.
meant. I don't watch
They
Bob's
write
Burger.
they write Bob's Burgers. I've seen like 3 episodes. The show's fucking
well,
weird.
luckily for you, even though Sisters doesn't have an S, the name Molyneux already implies that it's plural. So
Oh, there you go.
the EUX is a plurality thing. So
Look at you.
like, language lesson of the day.
Dropping that French knowledge. I like it. Well, I think I put off the bad for the very last, so we have some.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because then we can just completely become unhinged.
Yeah, some good to talk about because, guys, it is the return of the Baby Yoda show, The Mandalorian, Chapter 12.
Baby Yoda, floating in the pod, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, levitating a horn monster, Baby Yoda.
Indeed, Chapter 12 is streaming on Disney Plus right now, and this was directed by Mr. Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers himself, and man, he did a really good job.
From creed to greed, he knows how to do it.
What just happened?
I just
what
say
that
words. But I will say I had a spike in serotonin during that song, so whew. Full
Needed.
live.
Yeah, I was excited to see that he directed this episode. I had a blast watching it. It was another good one.
You know who else had a blast? That whole laboratory.
Ooh, yeah, it did. Brittany, what are your thoughts on Chapter 12 here?
I loved it. It was a fun episode. I'm glad that it feels more Mandalorian again. Like we said, the first 2 episodes of the season were just kind of like, what is going on? Do you know what you are anymore? And then the last 2 episodes happened and we're like, oh, thank God, you do remember what you are. And I think this was the best Baby Yoda episode yet. Like, this is what I want Baby Yoda to be. If he can't talk and do certain things, like, then have him use the Force in goofy ways. Like, if he is going to eat, have him steal
a
the kid's
child's
fucking
cookies.
macarons, like, out of his hand. And
Well, before we
great.
get to Matt, because I have that on here, let's talk about Baby Yoda and the fucking macarons, because space macarons. Like,
Yeah.
I love macarons, and
that's no macaroon. That's a space station.
I love that school scene. I thought that was really cute.
He was so tiny in that old chair, and he's like, eh. My mom was like laughing like really hard. I don't think she's laughed that hard in a while, like watching this episode, and especially when like Mando was flying the ship and he was still like nibbling on them, and then, before he even threw up, just his arms going up and like, "Wee!" Like
Yeah.
she was like, oh, you guys used to do that. That was like when you're on a roller coaster. I was like, oh my God.
See, Heather actually watched part of the episode with me, and she said she loves Baby Yoda's like baby sounds that he makes, and he's like,
Yeah, he's like,
It
like
was
he wanted
so
one.
cute.
great.
It was so damn cute.
He's regained all honor in my heart again.
Yeah. Yes. Well, he's not eating eggs. He's eating macarons, which is far superior. I love that they were blue, like blue
Yeah.
milk. Like, were they blue milk macarons?
They probably were.
I
They
would
look the
eat
same
those.
shade.
Yes.
So it's
indeed.
funny. They were blue. They blew the place up.
okay,
A
now
lot of blue this episode.
now I'm thinking of like those milk monsters from Last Jedi. Them sitting there like, we need milk for
Or
our
when
treats.
Luke turns around, he just has milk dripping down his chin, and he's like, God damn it.
Maybe they were looking
He's
for
so
that milk
feral.
sponsorship. I don't know. Matt, how about you? Your thoughts on Chapter 12?
No, like I'm gonna agree with everybody. Obviously, this episode continues the plot, which thank
Yes.
God.
Oh my God.
Thank freaking God that they finally, after 2 episodes, obviously before the 3rd one, they, after Monster of the Week, they finally were like, you know what, we need to like actually do that whole thing with Moff Gideon and advance that plot.
And it made sense. They picked up finally on the threads from the first season we were hoping they were going to just start off with in the second. So they're like, wait, Moff Gideon's not dead? Wait, that's what they were using Baby Yoda for? That's why they were trying to take his blood and keep him as a little experiment?
Also, I will say that because I think I predicted last episode that they weren't going to show Ahsoka this episode,
Yeah.
and I even looked it up. Dave Filoni directs the next episode, and as soon as I saw that, I'm
that's-
like, that's where Ahsoka's
And
going to
the
be.
name of the episode is Jedi.
Yeah, as the
That's
Jedi.
okay. We figured it was going to be that way. Either she'd show up at the very end of the episode, or they would just be like, well, he knows how to find her. We'll see if he gets there. So
I'm stoked. I cannot
Yeah, I'm excited.
wait.
you're a Stoka? A Stoka
up,
for
Wesley.
Ahsoka?
Oh, my God.
I'm happy for Rosario Dawson.
I am too, I really hope she's good because obviously, like,
She's a good
Ashley
actress.
Eckstein. Oh, I know, she is. But I also have to kind of talk about what we talked about last week with voice actors. Like, there's this part of me that really hopes that Rosario is playing Ahsoka and Ashley is voicing her, and they've kept that secret. But I doubt that's going to be the case.
And that would be
It could work if they get the makeup right, but I don't think that that's going to be the case.
I have a feeling, I have a feeling that she won't. I can't see Ahsoka having to do a ton in the next episode in terms of carrying scenes and stuff like that.
it's going to be a lot of dialogue heavy. I think she's gonna dialogue lore dump on him, and he's going to be like, I wasn't ready for all the Mandalore.
She's just gonna pull out a big book.
The
like, I have lore to
Mandalore.
discuss with you.
We're totally getting away from
Yeah.
this episode, but I do want to ask the question: is Sabine going to be with her next week? Because if Sabine was with her at the end of Rebels,
I'm gonna say no because Sabine's like another character you want to put in your back pocket for maybe either later this season or next season.
Yeah, you don't want her to show up for 5 seconds, and you're like, Sabine there, done that. You want her to be a big part of another season.
Oh God!
That's how I was the first 2 episodes. You're right, but now we're great.
I'm gonna say that she's gonna be there.
I
And
can't-
it's like you have to get through me to get to Ahsoka, and they're gonna have a fight, and they're like, "Oh, you're cool. Okay, come check out Ahsoka." That's me. We'll see.
Maybe.
A man can dream.
I can dream of Sabine.
I think Ahsoka though could be her own doorman because obviously she's just
Jedi.
gonna completely
Yeah.
wreck everybody.
Truth. For me, going back to chapter 12,
Yes.
I really, really loved this episode. I like that the minute he landed, it's setting up that these dudes who are fixing his ship are spies. It's like one of those obvious tropes, but it works because you know that Gideon is tracking the child. So even though I feel like that gives it away at the beginning of the episode, it works really well. I really enjoyed that. I love these like heist types episode where they have to like get in, get out, and like do a task. I love seeing Cara Dune back. I love seeing I always forget his fucking name, Carl Weathers' character.
Greed.
So-
I made the joke from Creed to Greed.
that's right. It is Greed.
That's why you didn't get my joke. You forgot his name.
Yeah. I also really like seeing the dude that Mando put in carbonite in the first episode. I thought
yeah.
he was great.
I did like that little
Yeah.
thing of all the.
I like that he said, I still can't see out of my left eye.
eye.
Because they just want to make up for the fact that they're like, yeah, Han legit couldn't see when he came out. Like, this is a continued thing.
There were a couple of, and I wish I'd written them down.
Little
wrote them
Easter
down.
eggs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Star Wars Easter eggs, like making
Oh,
fun of
like
Star Wars.
when the protocol droid was teaching them, she was talking about the Kessel Run and the surrounding, like, oh, there's 3 moons in this
Yeah.
area. And they were talking about things that happened in, like, Solo that are referenced to in
Yep.
that part. And I was like, I like this. Feed me little bits, please. Little bits like little macarons.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved seeing this episode. I love the whole attack on that installation. It was a blast. I know we kind of talked about our initial thoughts, but just the overall feel and pace of the episode. What do you think about Carl Weathers' Mando directing debut?
I mean, he did a fine job. Now, I'm actually curious about some of these episodes is how much the director like handles it versus like say the monolith of Disney like looming over is like, you will do this.
Yeah.
Are these people, Bryce Dallas Howard, Carl Weathers, and everybody else, are they just basically saying cut, action, or
No, I don't think
feel like
so.
no, because their episodes are better. Like, I don't know who did the first 2 episodes of the season. I didn't remember to look, but then you knew immediately. Like, I felt it when we started watching the episode. I was like, oh, who directs this one? So then by the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. I felt like it was Bryce Dallas Howard who did that one. And then this one, it was the same thing. I was just like, you feel like they get it, or maybe they have a better understanding, because obviously her dad's Ron Howard. He literally did the film Solo. Like, he's been involved in the movie industry for so long and was an actor and everything.
Yeah.
So she has been around Star Wars for a long time. So she has like a deeper, I guess, understanding or love for it. And then Carl Weathers is like, I'm a character in it. So
I think that if you also watch that director's roundtable on Disney Plus about last season of Mandalorian, like they had a lot of creative control over. I mean, obviously Dave Filoni and like the producers have the scripts and stuff, but I think the directors are really able to make these episodes as they want to, which is why they've been so good. So I thought he did a great job.
well, we're at 50-50 this season so far in terms of
Well,
creative.
yeah, but
it's only going up from
we
here.
but we could also say we don't remember the names of those 2 directors, even though I do remember the first. Wait, no, I was getting the director of Discovery
I
mixed
knew
up.
you were going to say that.
Yep.
I was going to stop you. I was like, if
Yep.
you start with an O, sir, I will slap you.
Yep. Yep. Nope.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, this episode was kind of like one of those like fun, like go on mission, go take out this installation, get in, get out. Also, I have to get like a touch political here real quick. You know, with Gina Carano is kind of not the greatest
Just a pinch.
human being in the world.
I realized this episode though I can separate her from her character.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
when Kara came back on screen, I was just like, I hate you as an actress, but damn, do I fucking love Cara Dune.
And I was gonna say that, like, damn, she's such an awesome fucking character. Like, she is so good, and I like how badass she is. And I like at the end of the episode. Or are you looking into her?
No, I'm looking up. The director of the first episode of the season was Jon Favreau.
But
That doesn't surprise me.
But the first episode also wasn't horrible.
Well, I literally said that the first 2 episodes had to have been done by a man because no woman would have made the child eat eggs. So, like, I knew right away. I was like, it has to be some dude.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau's good for, what he does, but, like, he can stick to just producing the show. He could not direct it, maybe. He can stick to Iron Man.
Damn, Brittany's hot on Jon Favreau right now.
He Favreau's us all an apology for those first 2 episodes.
Oh, man. Yeah, I love her character. I like her struggle at the end, how, like, she, without saying a single word, you could tell she's struggling with maybe wanting to go back to the rebellion or the
Well, that's
Republic.
something. I saw an article that said that was basically their way of giving her character an out of Star Wars.
It's
Basically,
not, like, officially that, though.
no.
That's just what fans are like, oh, this is her out. Do it. Take it.
Well, because I mean, once again, it all depends upon if the fan outcry about Gina Carano, which, as I said, like, she's not the greatest person, obviously, that they might just say like her character goes back to the Republic. And
To be fair, out of all the outrage there's been about actors and stuff, like, there hasn't actually been like an outcry or an outrage about
No.
her. She said some stupid shit, and that's kind of it. And people are just like, okay, you're dumb, but your character's kind of
Toxic,
cool.
get it?
So, yeah.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to remove her because
No.
her character's a fan favorite and they're not going to recast her. So she'll have to do something really, really bad in order for them to remove
Yeah.
her.
And I think, and listen, like, separate the actor from the role. She's a fucking badass character, and I want to see more of Cara Dune.
Plus, I don't think she's going to be like, even if she's quote series regular, she's not going to be in that many episodes. Like, they literally, she showed up in this one, and then it's basically like we might see her one more time this season. Like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like we're going to even see her that much.
No.
Cara Dune, what you Cara Dune over there?
We already talked about Baby Yoda and the macarons, which were awesome. I loved when he threw up a little bit. Like, I don't do well with throw up, or for some reason I thought it was adorable.
Like that Mando wiped it with his cape.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like,
oh, what a
whoa,
dad move.
dude.
We're just like, oh god, it's my
That's
shirt,
a
but
me
whatever.
move.
Yeah.
Oh, you're crying and getting your cookie all over
Yeah.
my shirt yesterday, Caleb? Yeah, here, just,
Every time I go over your house, your son gets crumbs on me. Remember, I talked to your wife about that, but I'm just like, how do I end up with crumbs?
Okay, so you know how Baby Yoda eats all the time? My son is Baby
Oh,
Yoda.
yeah.
Caleb is Baby Yoda. All this fucking kid does is eat and eat and eat and eat and
It's actually
eat.
insane. Like the
You've
amount
experienced
he eats.
it.
Yeah, because he's like, it's not like he's even like putting on weight or anything. Like
No.
I know he's growing as a child, but like still sometimes you're just like, like there are fat babies, but he's just like chilling, and you're like, are you a bottomless pit? Are you a black hole? Are you conserving these eggs for later? What is the point, Baby Yoda?
Oh my god. I
He's
love it.
notorious for sitting on my lap and getting crumbs on me.
Yes, he is.
I just
Yes, he
realized I go to leave and I'm like, I have a whole cracker across my chest. What is happening?
Oh man. Let's talk about Moff Gideon, because we finally got to see him again. The awesome one, Carlo Esposito. So good to see him, even for a brief minute.
he's such a nice dude too. Heather and I met him years ago.
Oh, you told me that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I was so happy to see him again, and I was happy to see the little project that he's working on.
Time to speculate, everybody.
Death
What-
Troopers 2.0.
Those are apparently from a video game. Those troopers.
How much?
I
Yeah, I
believe it.
can't remember because they looked familiar to me, and I was like, I think I've seen these guys before. So shall we start our baseless speculations as to what he's doing?
You know what I liked? When they said M count. Because you're like, I know you mean midichlorians.
Yes.
I know you mean midichlorians, but you're not going to say it because you know we'll freak the fuck out.
Oh my god.
So like, the M count in this blood
That
is exponential.
imagine.
I'm going to need the child more to continue these.
Can you imagine if they done like the it's like Army of Darkness, like the count as very high.
Yep.
My speculation, I don't think, is too far fetched. When they were looking at those clones, that's Snoke. I think those were Snoke.
I'm gonna say
I
that
don't want that.
my guess is that what Moff Gideon is doing, he's trying to make Force users,
For the Emperor.
artificial
Yeah.
Force users.
Yeah.
Like like quote like Sith troopers or like
Wait.
actual Force using troopers.
Are they going to be midichlonians?
Oh, Jesus God, Brittany.
Midichlonians versus the Mandalorian?
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Oh,
Midichlonians, that's what I'm calling them.
Because if you think about it, he's trying to basically make his own army of Force using Death Troopers. That's how you take back the Empire. That's how you rebuild it. Is you have an army like that. Who's going to stop you?
It's how democracy falls.
With clone troopers with Sith power.
With midichlonians.
I don't mean that we were going to see Snoke like as a character in the series, but I think they looked like Snoke
Because they want to tie it.
Yeah, they want to tie it.
They're like,
to-
let's make
yeah.
these movies make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Mando, you might bite off more than you can chew.
Do we think that Gideon catches up with him right away next episode? And
No.
Ahsoka has to like fight his evil troopers.
There's gonna be a fight scene where I'm sure troopers will arrive, and because you can't just have Ahsoka just kind of
Stand there and-
exposition the entire, because everybody's gonna be like, pull out the lightsaber, pull out the lightsaber, pull out the lightsaber.
Lightsabers.
It's like sabers. Don't forget about that Shoto.
Ahsoka the White.
Ahsoka.
I can't wait to see. I kind of want her to appear where like the sun's behind her and she's got that like dark, like kind of like what they did when Gandalf first reappeared, and you're like, oh God, Saruman's got them, and then you realize, oh God, it's Gandalf, thank God. Like I want that to happen. I want her shadow to be there and the light being radiating behind her, and then it just like becomes her, and I'm like, Ahsoka. There's one thing I believe in Star Wars. One thing that will never betray me, hopefully.
Uh-oh.
And that's Ahsoka Tano. So if they do anything wrong, they will know from the fans. Do not do Ahsoka wrong. Dave Filoni's Dave Filoni would not let it happen.
He's
Dave
got this
Filoni's
episode coming
directing
up.
the episode.
the only one I trust.
Ahsoka is his baby, and to be fair, damn, did they get Bo-Katan right and some more? Like,
I have a Tano respect for that guy.
get out.
A Tano trust in
Get
him.
out.
Get off my bridge.
I think he's the
have that
Filoni
song.
one for the job. He'll Dave the day.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what.
I know.
I'm honestly I just
That
need
is
a nap.
one big pile of shit.
Oh,
Wow.
Goldblum.
Yeah.
Remember show with the ice cream?
Oh yeah. Do you want to come over and watch some more Jeff
No.
Goldblum, Matt?
No, it stresses me out.
Why watch it when I can experience it in the comfort of my own home?
Indeed.
I loved Moff Gideon. The fact that they remembered he was alive and then him appearing and just like being so fucking badass. And then when my mom even pointed out when like obviously the alien repairmen were like, oh, we bugged a ship. She was like, I knew it was a trap right away.
Well, because to be fair though, the guys on the landing pad, they all but did the shifty eyed
Yeah,
Star
like-
Trek
Oh, yeah.
animated dun dun dun.
Bug trap tracking beacon on a ship or not. It was good to see that ship in one piece again.
I will admit, even though you knew it was coming, just seeing it come in against the TIE fighters was like, yay!
Holy shit, that action sequence
I loved
was
hearing the
awesome.
sound effects again.
Yes.
Because I was trying to post auctions at the same time, so sometimes I'd look down and I just heard like the pew pew, and I was like, ooh, and that sound. Ooh.
I did also like the little joke when he's just like, get out there and say, well, there's no railings.
I was
Exactly.
writing that down.
So
that
good.
was one of the making fun of Star Wars. There's no guardrails.
That's when you always have the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, that just reminds me of I remember Family Guy made that joke with the first Death Star, and the guy's like, look, I don't care about anything. Just put a railing right here,
Exactly.
please.
There's also there's an Easter egg about Star Wars collecting, and sometimes the ridiculous amount of money that people spend on things. The transport that they steal,
Oh,
the
yeah.
original toy for that is worth like a shit ton of money.
Oh,
And,
yeah, what he
and
said,
there's-
yeah, we could sell this for a lot.
Yeah.
Classic.
So I love how much they kind of took jabs at Star Wars in a Star Wars show because it's awesome. All right, guys, time to score this one, and we are going to do it out of 5 blue macarons. As Brittany lifts her pinky and drinks her.
Go ahead.
I'll go first. So
Hit it.
I'll give it 5 out of 5. It was another episode I enjoyed the hell out of, that I loved. And, and honestly, other than Mando, Baby Yoda, I love the Moff Gideon character. Just his mere appearance is automatically just elevates any episode by
You sit up in your seat.
yeah, and it's a credit to Giancarlo Esposito as an actor, because the dude just brings this menace to pretty much any role where he plays a bad guy, where I do not question that this dude is capable and ruthless and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I also give it a 5 out of 5 because it was fun. I was pleasantly surprised again. I was like, oh, thank God, another good episode. And there wasn't anything that I particularly didn't like about the episode at all. Like, I liked the plot was fine. Like, or did you remember something you hate?
No.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, like even the Baby Yoda scenes, I was like, these are funny, they're cute. This is exactly what I want Baby Yoda to be. I didn't mind any of the references. I didn't think any of them were like too much. Like sometimes when you're like, okay, like calm down.
When the characters all but look at the camera.
Yeah,
Like, huh?
and they're just like. So yeah, I thought it was great. The directing, like I liked the feel of it. I didn't think it felt too long or too short. It felt like just right. Yeah, I don't know, 5 out of 5, easy. Eating all those macarons, gonna throw them right up. As soon as I see Ahsoka, just.
I'm giving this a 5 out of 5 blue macarons because, like, of just simply of the Razor Crest going up against those TIE fighters alone. Like, that was such a cool sequence, and it's cool seeing them lift off each time now because, like, the wings fold up and fold out, and then they like take off, and the whole like Carl Weathers trying to like shoot the rocks to like kill the TIE fighters, I thought was really brilliant.
Was he trying to do that, or was he just missing his shot?
No, he was trying to
maybe
shoot the
he was
rocks,
trying to
and
hit
he
the
knew
rocks,
it
but-
wasn't working.
Yeah.
But no, I think he was trying to do that to like get a cave in.
It's working.
It's working. The other thing I loved about this episode that I forgot to bring up was I don't know the pilot's name, obviously, but the one who was talking about Cara Dune at the end. It's really cool that this is feeling kind of like, you know, that theme that it's had since the beginning of the show, that the Mandalorian is a Western, because here comes the sheriff tracking his bounty basically, and like talking to the townsfolk.
And he's like, "Hey, Marshall, if you ever want to be on my side,
exactly, and
you can sally up. I'll give you your own star."
I like that it wasn't a new character. Like, it's the same pilot who's tracking Din Djarin, and I think that's really cool.
You gave her a little badge just in
Yep.
case. You want to be my deputy?
I actually really appreciate the fact that they have dumpy looking people be rebel pilots like in the original Star Wars, because they're not like supermodel, like, oh god,
Everyone's hot.
it's time to go fight the Empire, guys, and look great while
Yeah,
doing
his
it.
partner's Dave Filoni. So, you know, and Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni, if you're listening, I'm not
Kim's
calling you ugly.
convenience.
No, but he's a nerd. We're all nerds. Nerds
Yeah.
look like nerds. Dave Filoni's a fellow nerd. Like, come on.
I don't know, man. In 10 years, I plan on being a hot nerd.
Anyway, that was The Mandalorian Chapter 12. We cannot wait to be back with Chapter 13 next week. The Jedi, Ahsoka. Oh,
Yeah.
goosebumps. Let's get to our next segment, and that is the state of the comic industry and comic apps, not just during COVID, but just kind of in general. I'm going to just immediately start with you, Brittany, because you work very closely in the industry. What is your take on comic apps and the effect, if any, that they've had on, you know, comic stores during the pandemic and maybe, you know, before the pandemic as well?
So I think when comic apps like first started, they were a big kind of threat to the industry because you didn't know how people were going to take it. Oh, is everybody going to switch to digital? You know, are people not going to buy physical? It's been the same for every medium, like newspapers, same way, video games, same way. Like, as much as you think they're going to ultimately be kind of, or stores are going to become obsolete, you still have people that like they keep coming back to physical. And I know Wade's is a very, you know, well-known business in this area, and I doubt it would go out of business anytime soon unless something really crazy happened. But I still have customers that come in, like kids use comics to learn how to read. So like people are like, I just need them to like, I want them to physically have a book to look at. People come in all the time. They want all the different variants, like to collect. So I think as long as comics are a collectible hobby, where like you would pride yourself in owning like either a CGC graded version or something, or like you want a whole run of something that you physically have in your hands, I don't think that, you know, physical stores are really going to be threatened too much by digital apps. But that being said, I think that there's a good balance of it right now, because during the pandemic, you know, shops had to close. There were some comics that were still coming out, some didn't. Like, stuff got halted for a few weeks. It was all very confusing this year. And people were able to at least go online and keep reading comics or buying comics, purchasing whatever they needed to do there. And now I do have people that come into the store, and if we sold out of something and we're not going to get it in for another week, but they want to read it right away, they can go on Comixology or one of these apps and they can read it. And then when it comes in, they can buy it. And so it's not really something I think that takes away business, but it's there for people, I think, you know, if you're, for example, like my brother, he was in the Army. He wasn't able to like carry around comics with him, so he used it a lot for reading and doing things. So I think it helps for, depends on what type of like life you live, or like how much space you have in your house, what you can do.
Well, I remember those first few weeks, during the pandemic and everything was closed. And then when Wade decided to reopen and do like curbside or, I think he was doing delivery for like a week or two. I definitely had comics missing. That's no one's fault. That's because it was a crazy time. And like you said, things were confusing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice, simple fix, I like reading all the new X-Men stuff in a specific order, and something was missing. I was like, this is an easy fix. I'll just go and buy it on the Marvel app. So it works kind of almost like a companion. You know?
I don't think it's ever done anything to really take away. At first, when it came out, maybe that it might have caused sales to drop at first because people are like, why would I go to a store when I can buy everything at my fingertips? But sometimes we have more that they don't have in there.
Matt, how about you? How do you feel about comic apps? I know that you kind of read comics a little bit less than Brittany and I do, but there's specific comics that you like to read.
So I don't have the space to collect comics, and I'm a video game movie guy. So, and I would love to have certain comics because I do appreciate the art form, and there are certain graphic novels that I do have. But as Brittany kind of stated, that some people just don't have the space. Like, I do not have the space to be a comics guy. Like, I just don't. So right now, I use the Comixology app like pretty exclusively for most of my comic purchases, and I don't buy a lot of comics and stuff like that. There's like a handful I've purchased over the last few years. And the thing is that the last comic that I really came close to buying was The Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I saw you guys had that, and I was really tempted to buy it, but I was like, I'll be the first to admit I have this weird attachment to printed material, and in terms of like a book, a comic or something, I legit like almost am physically pained by if having to throw something like that out or get rid of it or something like that. Like I get overly attached to that.
Me
stuff.
too. I think the exact same way.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, I actually have like almost apologized. Like when I was younger, I read a shit ton of books growing up, and like if I ever dropped a book and it kind of landed awkwardly or something like that where it might have damaged it a little bit, I actually was like, sorry, almost like apologizing to the book.
My cousin, who I was living with for a long time, I had all my new Jedi Order books down in the basement.
Yeah.
And something had happened. I don't know if there was like a flood. There wasn't a lot of flooding in that house, but the one time, and like 4 or 5 of the books got damaged. It was like fucking devastating because like I meant to keep those in like a pristine condition. And I was like, God, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, I used to at my old bedroom at my parents' house, I actually had like an old bookcase that had like all of my like prized books that I read, and years ago a pipe burst in my parents' house and like flooded, and apparently like a bunch of those books basically got damaged or watered beyond, like, and then like they were thrown out before I could even like kind of go through them, by people that kind of cleaned up the mess, and I was like devastated, as you said, by that. So that's one reason I'm not hard into comics, because at some point I would probably have to choose between space, and as I said, like I have more games, video games and movies and stuff like that. So I do the Comixology app. And I'm also in Comixology Unlimited, so I get free down. I can like borrow quote unquote comics and stuff like that. And honestly, part of me feels bad for not supporting Wade's more, because I do, as I said, I do want to like help local businesses, and I want to help comic shops, because I know it's not always easy being a comic store in this economy, and especially now in this environment. And and I wish there was a way that like I could go through Wade's to use the Comixology app and like give Wade's my money and purchase or rent or whatever a comic.
It would be nice if, kind of like how Amazon has Amazon Smile. Like if you went into one of these apps and you said, it gives you the option like, hey, welcome to our app. Would you like to support a local comic shop? So say if, Excalibur is $4.99, maybe like 30 or 40% of that would go to your local comic shop, or more, preferably. I think that would be cool. I don't think it would ever happen. I know Brittany's like,
I was about to say, and you mentioned 30 or 40%. I was like, oh, honey, no.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
No, it's a great sentiment, but God, just knowing more about how like even covers work and like how we get our huge sets here, it's just because we have such a huge base that buys like, they want all 15 covers, or we want the, 1 in 25, 100, 1 in 500. Most comic stores, I will tell people now, if you still have a comic store in your area that exists, and they don't do toys and collectibles, like they strictly do comics, like they are barely making it. because you take so many losses because you have to guesstimate basically like you have to order 3 weeks ahead of time at the latest for a comic to come out. Usually comic owners have to order months ahead, and then you have this 3-week date that's like called final order cutoff, in which you can tell your customers, hey, this is the last time I'm able to change my order at all by like a little bit, so let me know, is there anybody else who wants these, like what I can get. And then sometimes you get shorted anyway, or books come up damaged, or there was a misprinting thing, like distributors mess up. And there's so many things that can happen, and if you miss out on a book that ends up selling or becoming very huge and you have less copies of it, like you're out of that. You're lucky if you can get them for your customers, like, or there's times you overbuy. You think a number one of something's going to be huge, like we did. I think at first Strange Academy number 1 wasn't big. We had like hundreds of it. And then it wasn't selling. So we were like, is there a way we can send these back? Because you can't always. Depends on the distributor and the type of comic. Sometimes they have you destroy it and send it back. Sometimes you can try and sell it. It's a mess. So anyway, the main reason that Wade's also does so well is because over the last 30 years, he's also done, toys and collectibles. So even when the pandemic hit, we were still selling things on eBay, still selling things online, and we had people to do curbside pickup. So we stayed afloat. But there are so many businesses and comic businesses across the country in the area that definitely didn't survive that first shutdown.
There's my good friend Maddie, who lives in New York. She worked at a very local comic shop that strictly did comics, and it was pre-COVID, and they had to close their doors because it's hard to sustain. Yeah. It really is.
Because rent's so high too. And you're always in a strip mall. Rent's crazy. There's no rent control anywhere. We all know this. So you just get destroyed.
No. For me, I really like owning paper comics, even though I also don't have room for them, but there's something about owning them. And listen, sometimes I read them, on paper, but I'm a huge fan of what Marvel does, and that's them giving the digital code in their comics. Like, that is the incentive that makes me still buy paper comics, because I prefer reading them on the bigger screen, like on a tablet. It's really nice. I really like the Marvel and DC apps. I don't use the DC app as much because DC doesn't put the codes in their comics, which I think is stupid.
They should just do that.
They really should. I think that reading comics on a tablet is really nice, and I've been in that situation where either a comic has been super popular and I missed out on it, so I'm like, okay, I'll just buy it on the app, or something, dude, like the amount of pull lists I'm sure that are here, like something.
We have, our drawers are like too full. We have 2 overflow boxes for the amount of pull things, and the hard part is with the closure. So many people didn't pick up their things for months, so getting them to come in, it's still not safe for some people. It's a mess.
So things get missed. So you could always just buy an issue. Another great thing, and this is where I think it maybe hurts comic shops a little bit, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Brittany, is that a lot of comic shops, like Wade's here, has a huge backlog of decades and decades and decades worth of comics, but apps like Marvel and DC will be like, oh, we're having a huge Civil War sale, and I wanted to read, I think Heather said this in our chat too, all of Civil War, and not just the main books, like all of the side.
Yeah, because then in our case, if we can't find them all for you, you have to just pick the trades we have, and then we have to order the trades for you.
Yeah, so, then I could just go on the app, and it's like, oh, 99 cents? Like, I can get a shit ton of these issues at a time and just read through them. So
the only downside to online ones is that they also have a backlog of things that they scan and upload. So a lot of the very older stuff, you have to come to a comic book store to get and read. So if you're like, I want to read this Superman comic, Superman 83 from 1958 or something like that, good luck trying to find it online. Yeah. So I get it, but it's fine for like newer comics. Like, by all means, there's so many new comics and so many Marvel ones. Like, it's impossible for any store to keep up with. We get thousands and thousands of comics every Tuesday to put up for Wednesday. So like when I tell people they're like, it's not organized or this is happening, I'm like, you don't understand. This is just our new comics we have to deal with. Then if we have time, we can touch our old comics.
What is, out of curiosity, I wanted to ask you, Brittany, what is Wade's eBay handle? Because I always wanted to kind of like browse like stuff that he has on sale.
I think it's Wade's Comic Madness. Okay. I think it's just that. I'll have to look it up though, and I'll give you the information.
I just wanted to make sure, and also if people were interested in anything Wade might be, because I know Wade's like there's a ton of shit in here.
The amount of things that I've given Wade.
They can honestly, anybody listening to the show, if you're interested in like if you're looking for a specific statue, any type of toys, collectibles, like even if you don't think we have it, you can email me at tomes.brittany@gmail.com, or like find me on any of my social media, message me and just ask, and I can look into it for you because we do ship things. We have tons of online sales.
We're sitting
right
next
now.
to 3 boxes of Infinity Gauntlets.
Yeah,
like
the
full
life-size
size.
Infinity Gauntlet, we have one upstairs. We have, I think, literally 5 of them, actually. There's 3 right there, but yeah, we have so many. So if for God knows what reason you need one of those, and they're $1,200 or something.
I don't need one. I want one.
Yeah, everybody wants one,
Snap
but they don't
away
need
half
one.
the universe.
The sad part is you can't actually put your hand into it.
know.
It's just a display.
Oh.
Now, we've been talking a lot about buying individual episodes, individual issues, right, on these comic apps. But what do we think about the subscription services like Comixology Unlimited or Marvel Unlimited? Do they hurt the business, or does it really make a difference?
I feel like those work in a similar way as pull lists. So it just depends on like we've gotten a lot better now that it's more after the shutdown and we're finally caught up that like pull lists now are up to date. But for a while it was just so hard trying to get through everything that like some things got missed or we couldn't feasibly make it through everybody in a week and some people come in, whatever. But I think it's good for if somebody knows exactly what they want. Like, I only want to read Spider-Man comics. I'm going to get the Marvel subscription service. I'm going to subscribe to specifically these Spider-Man titles. So that way they're always there. They're always on your tablet. Like, say you live in the city. You can't, you can't have boxes. You don't have a big enough apartment for all those boxes. So what, you're taking the train to work, you're doing something. I'm already going to Miles Morales mode. I'm like thinking about New York. And you're like sitting there on your tablet and you're just like, cool, I'm going to read Miles Morales, number 18. Okay, cool. I got that. Like, and then next week when it comes out, or 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, bi-weekly, monthly, you have it and it's right there and for you to download. So that works. It's just the same as it would be to subscribe to a store. I will say though that the pandemic proved to me that physical stores aren't going to go anywhere. Like the ones that went out of business did, unfortunately, because people weren't there. But the amount of people who were at home able to go through their comics finally, realize what they want or need, it's been insane. Like our online sales are blowing up. People want sets. People want variants. People are really getting into comics more. So as much as the pandemic sucks, it's also been good in some ways. I don't know.
This is what I'm getting from what we've been talking about. I've been getting the fact that these apps aren't really bad. They're not really hurting much in the long run. This is the one thing I want to say against using the apps as your sole base of getting comics. And I'm not saying don't use them, because I do think that they were a great resource. And like I said, they're a great companion. But had I not moved here and had I not come to Wade's, there are books that I wouldn't have found out about and read that have now become some of my favorite series. I always forget her name. It's one of the first people we met.
Jamie?
Yes, Jamie. Thank you.
I always
Brittany,
know.
every time. I think I've mentioned this on the show before. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I was wearing my Funko X-Men shirt yesterday, and I was looking just for something to read, and she's like, do you know about All New X-Men? And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, I love All New X-Men.
I don't know about All New X-Men. She's like, yeah, the original X-Men come into the future and have to like deal with the fact that they're in the future. Dude, it's like one of my favorite series of all time. And that led to me buying all the trades from here, then going into Avengers vs. X-Men and everything that came, and then they did X-Men Blue and Gold, which weren't that good, but I bought them anyway.
I think they did Red, Blue, and Gold.
Red, Blue, and Gold, but like that was such a cool arc, and it was a multi-year arc, and kind of like getting from All New X-Men here at Wade's to the finish to when they eventually go back.
So like the apps can't give you that personal experience where you come in and or you can't like just go on the app and then try to search and say like, well, I'm kind of into that. Like you got to search specific things. Whereas you come into a store, especially at Wade's, like we're all mostly personable. Like Wade will help you find out anything you need. He knows exactly what storyline, who appears where, like he knows everything. But if you come in and there's so many kids that come in, they don't know what to do. They don't know what they like. So I'm like, oh, well, do you like this superhero? Do you like that? Have you seen this show? And then that helps me get a vibe. And there's some people that come in, they're like, I don't really like Marvel or DC, but I kind of like this stuff. And then I'm like, oh, cool. Well, in the independent section, you could read this, this, or this. And I haven't read every comic in the world. I'm not an expert, but I talk enough to people. And even if I don't have the time to read the comics that I keep buying because I work here, I have a general sense. And people tell me the plot of every comic. So, like, I don't read Venom, but I know what the fuck is happening in Venom, so I can help you out.
Wade is a legit expert because a few days ago
He's
there
a
was
savant.
there was something on Facebook, and Heather asked me first. You know, there was this pillowcase of like all these old comic book
Yeah,
heroes.
he
and
beat
Heather's
me
like,
to it.
yeah, and
It
Heather's
took him 2
like,
minutes.
do you know who these? Because like this person was like, I know who this is, but I don't know these other characters. And Heather's like, do you know who they are? And I looked at him like, this is like old school comic stuff. I'm like, I don't know these. I'm like, tag Wade. I said, Wade's probably gonna. I said, tag Wade and Brittany. I
Yeah,
said,
it was
one
like-
of them's gonna know.
It was like Captain Boomerang, like
Mr. Freeze. I think.
the Polka Dot Man, like Mr. Freeze. It was all these like villains, but a lot of them haven't reappeared in comics quite often,
Or they don't look like that.
way different
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so like Mirror Man was in there, like a bunch of different ones. And I didn't realize Wade was tagged at first either because I just saw the notification, so I didn't have time at the moment. But when I had time, I went to open it up and I was like, oh yeah, and I started typing, and then I saw Wade's response and I was like, Wade answered
Yeah.
this in 1 minute.
It's like dun, dun, dun,
I
dun.
took 4 minutes to look at the notification and he had already answered. So I was like, that's okay. You know more than me, so go ahead.
I will also say, in terms of using the app, I do find it a little daunting because I do want to read more comics, but I'm always like, where do I start?
Yeah,
What
what's
I like?
good, what connects.
What's good and everything like that? Because
I know. Go ahead.
and that's the advantage of coming into a comic store, as Brittany said, because you can talk to them and say like, I'm interested in this. I'd like to read. I like to do this and all that other stuff. Because I mean, I've looked through the Comixology app and been like, Jesus Christ, there's like all this stuff. Like where would I even begin?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's one of the nice things. I know you said that you don't have a lot of room for comics, but like if you ever wanted to like come in and buy a trade, like I gave you that Batman book, and like
Yeah.
if you read that and you're like, oh man, like I want to continue that, like you don't have to go and buy all the issues. Like you can ask Wade about the trades, and
Yeah,
that's
'cause
not
it's
taking
normally,
up
like,
as much space
1
on
through 6,
you know.
6 through
Yeah,
12. It's usually in
exactly.
6
Yeah.
issue chunks.
So that's what I used to do, and then I don't know, this place just stole all my money.
You know what I will tell the audience?
Uh-oh.
If you do support a comic book store, a local comic book store, you support someone like me who works there. And I, in turn, support a podcast that I work on, like us. Whether it's like just whenever we go to movies again or getting equipment, lots of awesome stuff. So indirectly, you help so many people's lives. Like you support your local industry. Like, yeah, you could support Marvel. Marvel's owned by Disney now. They're fine. They have money. But if you really want to support the underdogs, you know, the people that could possibly be heroes in your local community, shop local.
Yeah.
Bob Iger does not need a gold-plated Shark Tank, everybody.
No, but you know who does?
Says you.
Wade.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're listening, check out Wade's Comic Madness. You can look them up on social media. Mostly we're on Facebook, but we also have Instagram. Working on a Twitter.
The Twitter's there. It's just inactive.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
Wade doesn't remember the login because somebody used to run it years ago. And I'm like, make a new one. I'll totally like do way more with it. And he's like, we'll get there. But we just have too much to do.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So yeah, or head to wadescomicmadness.com.
Yep.
Or message me personally. I don't know. I'll ship something to you, whatever you need.
Indeed. And we love recording our podcast here
Yes.
in our little basement nook.
Our little bat cave.
Yeah, our little back cave.
Surrounded by Namor and New Warriors.
And literally like the entire history of comic books.
Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen's right there. I love you. Like, we're just peeking in the back of Venom.
Yep.
Let me see. I think that's
Thor.
that's Booster Gold, I think.
I feel like there's like some very valuable comics in some of these boxes somewhere.
Oh, having been through many of them recently, yes.
Yeah.
Do I have a box up there that's labeled Brittany? Whenever Wade has time to look at these, please let me know. Yes. Is it the almost entirety of TSR's original Dungeons and Dragons comics, 1 through like 47?
Oh my.
Maybe. Is it Paper Girls #1? Yeah.
Brittany, I think you've stalled
Yeah, I've stalled
long
sorry.
enough.
Yeah.
I know.
Get to the white
I
people.
I know. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out my notes before
yeah.
I gave up on my notes because I just want to read.
Unfortunately, my dear friend Matt, it is
Yeah.
time. It is that time for
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
The Raiders of the Bargain Bin.
This is the most depressed I've ever been for Raiders of the Park.
I honestly, one of these days, I might make a new intro for that segment.
Oh, really?
But that's
'Cause I love
fun.
it.
Well, no, still use some of it, but like just cut in with some of the things we've said during the bargain.
Oh,
bins.
yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Because at one point, because I remember I was listening to some of the old ones. I remember at one point, I think during Velocipaster, I screamed, "How the fuck did
Yeah.
that happen?"
And like, oh God, no! And then my breakdown during Cats would be a great one to add. It was just like I was sweating. I didn't understand what was that.
Or Julian, "I don't do fucking roaches."
Yes.
Rob asked us on our group chat this morning if this was worse than Cats, and we all said yes. So
Oh yeah, I would watch Cats
yes.
willingly instead of this.
Karen
one.
actually said last night, I want to get drunk and watch Cats. So
we
that's
can.
gonna happen.
I can come over.
Yeah.
And I'll cry.
All right. Here we go.
I'll cry. Release the butthole cut.
let's get the Rotten Tomatoes score out of the way here. This is all you need to know. The critics score 16%, should probably be lower.
Who gave it a positive review?
I didn't look.
I don't
didn't
think
bother
really
looking.
want to
I
know
don't
that.
think people even did.
And then somehow this number is in the 30s. It should be in like the zeros. 36% audience score.
Well, I feel like they get this from like people literally walking out of the theater and they're just like, "What do you think?" And they're like, 3 out of 10. Like, and that's why it jumps up, because they just don't know what to say. They don't remember numbers anymore. That's what this movie fucking does to you.
Oh my god.
So,
Yeah, let's.
are we gonna literally begin at the beginning? Because there was no fucking opening to this film.
In
It
the
was just
beginning,
the
there
most
was
dramatic
gods.
music, and then like boom, title.
So
Well, they did the little setup of like gods like dwell among men.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I want to talk about that right away because my first note of this shitty ass movie is trying to rip off The Mummy with the intro and the music. And I'm like, and even Stargate to a point. I'm like, oh, I know what you're trying to do, and you're
Yep.
not doing it well.
Nope. That's the entirety of this film. I know what you're trying to do. You are not doing it well.
And then like the editors of this movie.
Terrible
Well,
editing.
hold on,
Hold on.
because going from that intro where like the gods live among us and blah 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 blah, blah, and then like it looks like it's gonna do a fade away, but then it's just a really bad cut to Egypt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did y'all not like do a final
There were
pass on this
so
movie?
many times that I thought, I was like, I feel like there's supposed to be another scene before this. Like, so many awkward cuts. I literally, let's get to it. One,
I had,
why'd they make the gods so big?
and why'd you have humans standing next to them and make them look just like so feeble and like measly?
Like, Lord of the Rings, that works. It makes sense, and it's shot really well. Like, don't get me wrong, they did it pretty well where, like, the hands are on them, and it doesn't look super, like, oh, I could tell they CG'd this or they did whatever, like, but there's an art to forced perspective. And I feel like you didn't take that into consideration when you thought this film, like, it just made no sense. Why make them big? It didn't help the plot. They climbed at the same speed, Julian. There was a tiny man and a fucking god climbing next to each other up a cliff face later on. That's where I gave up. That's when I gave up on these notes. And they had the same climbing speed. I don't know if you've ever played D&D or any RPG, but you will not have the same climbing speed as a large creature.
Wow,
It's just not going to happen.
Brittany is-
It's not going to happen. Your arms and limbs aren't the same.
Geck was rolling natural 20s each.
Do you think
Yeah,
Jamie? You think Jamie Lannister was slowing down for him to be like, "Oh, come on, little guy, like hop on his back, or let him fucking launch you up there if he's so strong"?
I'm not gonna lie, that probably would have made that scene like 10 times better. Like, let me hop on your back.
It was weird that he had both hands. Let's be honest. Every time I saw Jamie pop up, I was like, "Why do you have both hands?"
Well, he was missing an eye, so he
Yeah.
had to lose
He had to
something.
lose-
When that happened, I was like, "Cool."
One of my first notes on here too, talking about the bad CG again, was that AC Origins did a better CG job with Egypt than this fucking movie.
I like the set design though.
Well, listen, all the budget went into their costumes and set
Oh yeah,
design.
costume and set design. That's
Kind of like Robin Hood.
exactly. That whole initial part, probably the first 15 minutes of the movie, I was like, "Why do I feel like this is a Robin Hood?" They
But
don't understand the time period they're in.
Well,
They're all speaking weird.
but the thing is though is that like this movie had like some star power in it though. And it kills me.
but it shouldn't.
Because once again, like I don't know what it is about and like this movie is not alone in its little pantheon here
Unfortunately.
of shit movies where like roles that should have been people of color, they instead were like can we get the whitest motherfuckers in here?
Why are they all white and English?
Yeah, I
So-
literally wrote, "It's still weird. They're all white!" Exclamation point.
Like when Jeffrey Rush shows up as Ra, when he shows up, and I love Jeffrey Rush. Like he is a favorite actor of mine. I've loved him, in quite a few movies. When he shows up as Ra, I think that's where I was like, oh my fucking
I
god.
paused it and I was like, I want to turn this off immediately.
That and also Gerard Butler as
Jesus
Set. And
Christ.
Gerard Butler still has a fucking Scottish accent.
Egypt will no longer be ruled by the Egyptians.
You're one true god.
Egypt will now be Scotland.
And I like how he kept referring to the other gods as the rebel gods, and I'm like, you are the god that rebelled, though. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Can also we just point out that Horus is
Jesus.
Horus is the main is Nicolaj. I can't never pronounce
Coster
it.
Willow.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is,
Jamie Lannister.
Jamie
That's what we're gonna call him,
Lannister.
Jamie Lannister. You know. But his father somehow missed Set's entire army mobilizing and showing up at his city and everything like that.
It was so stupid.
Can we talk about how Horus was far more fashionable than his father, who it's like, oh shit, we just spent all of our costume budget on Horus's costume. Oh, and here's his dad, and we kind of just putting him in rags.
To
I'm
be
like,
fair, he
he's
dies
the
like
fucking
30 seconds
king.
later.
I know.
He had the spirit. That's for sure.
Matt, you made us watch this fucking monstrosity. What the hell was that thing on the back of Jeffrey Rush's head?
His hair. His hair.
I don't know what it was supposed to be.
I saw that too, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Like, you couldn't just be bald. Like,
no,
you couldn't just be bald.
No, because then he would be Xerxes-like, and that's something that's good.
Oh god.
My next thing I wrote was, "Oh, thank God, Chadwick!" with exclamations, because at least I was like, finally, not a white person. But then
he was in like that first scene that he was in. He was like maybe like 20 seconds tops.
well, yeah, because he just showed up. They announced him, and then he like walks
Tough,
away.
the god
Yeah.
of wisdom. All right, bye.
I don't want to speak poorly about the dead, but goddamn was he awful in this movie too.
Dude, they didn't give him anything to work with.
No,
Like,
they didn't. Like,
he
the
didn't-
writing was so bad.
Yeah.
And
the direction for his character, it made no sense. I was like, why are you having him talk like this? Why are you having him like do these things with his character? Like, I felt like he didn't want to be there.
I don't think anybody wanted to be.
But the thing that killed me is like, even during the scene where they're all like first grouping together and they're like announcing the gods or whatever, it felt like they were trying to make a Greek mythology movie. And then they realized at the last minute, oh no, Clash of the Titans reboot was already a thing. Scrap that. Egypt's close enough. Yeah, we could totally just change the names. Like, I could tell that they were like, this is Zeus, this is Apollo, this is like, and they just last minute were like, what's the equivalent? Ra, Set,
Hathor.
Horus,
Thoth? How do you pronounce that?
oh god,
Matt, I made a Destiny joke writing in my notes too.
What did you do?
That Horus's costume when he was about to be named king looked exactly like Osiris's costume. And I'm like, but wait, shouldn't Osiris look like Osiris?
I don't understand. Like, this movie had nothing to do with Egyptian mythology.
None
Like,
whatsoever.
they took the names and that was it. Like,
I want to
was
say
it.
the only thing that might have been accurate, and I don't know much about Egyptian mythology, granted, is Ra fighting off the Apophis. How do you say
Apophis.
it? Apophis every night. I feel like that is something that actually is from Egyptian mythology.
Well,
I could be wrong.
Also, and I wish they had spent more time with this, Anubis. Like, Anubis was pretty
just
damn
showed up randomly.
accurate. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like how the underworld in Egyptian mythology works was very accurate with what they did with Anubis, and like he was wasted. Like, what if they did like this movie, like trying to, dude, this movie would have been good had little dude been like looking for his girl
Beck.
in the Egyptian underworld. Beck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beck, which made no fucking sense.
I just thought of the 90s rock
Oh, no.
band Beck when he
Well,
said
no,
Beck.
every time they said it, I was like, that's all
I'm
I
a
thought
loser,
of too.
baby,
I know, so why don't you kill me? I wish they fucking would have.
Yes. Like, that would have been a good movie.
But then it would have been just the Orpheus and Eurydice tale, which once again is Greek mythology and not fucking Egyptian mythology. Please just fucking Google. Take a basic mythology class. Like, I don't even fucking mythology 101. Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
The tension of this movie, at least for the Beck character, was completely underwritten by the fact that an old Beck is narrating who at like parts of the movie, and I'm like, I know he lives.
Yeah.
There we go. He's just
And we never see him.
yes.
Like,
There was also
what?
never like the plot. There was no plot. There really wasn't. They tried real hard to make you like. I didn't feel anything about this. I was like, I don't care about their goals. I don't care about any of these characters. I'm only excited when Chadwick appears, but then I'm also just sad because his character sucks.
Yeah.
So
You know what really bothered me about this movie, and it shouldn't have bothered me as much as it did? Like, obviously, this movie is hardcore whitewashed,
was
right?
it Sniper Eyes?
No, it was not Sniper Eyes. I liked Sniper Eyes.
I hated Sniper Eyes.
I thought that was
the
actually a
worst,
pretty cool
like,
effect.
When he just
effect.
zooms.
That's the stupidest shit.
Listen.
That was like what I would make if I was 7.
the fact that what was the fucking bad guy's name? Set.
Yeah.
Set's like right hand. Okay, so you remember Karl Urban from Thor Ragnarok's character? He's just like big, bulky, generic dude. Big, bulky, white, big bearded guy who looks more like a fucking Viking than like an Egyptian god. I'm like,
No, but you see, they were like, oh, Norse mythology, that's the same as Egyptian. Let's throw him
like
in.
that's your right hand man. This dude is whiter than all of the white people on this fucking stage. Like,
It's like,
come on,
in
man.
some scenes, they tried to make Gerard tan.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, and I was like, this is dangerous.
At least they didn't try and give like Gerard Butler like Egyptian makeup, like the black
I
eyeliner or
fucking
something.
hate that
would have been the cherry on top
Speaking of
this.
Gerard Butler, did no one see from literally a mile away, because he had to walk a mile to get to the stage, or the whatever you fucking call it, I don't fucking know, throne room, that he was going to betray them right away? Oh, at least you could be king. Oh, by the way,
It was
brother, let
super
me fucking
obvious.
kill you.
Yeah.
Why did they? I don't know if they explained it in the movie, and I just blew it from out of my brain. But he yanked Horus's eyes out of him and didn't kill him, as well as like he didn't kill his ex-wife.
The only reason he didn't is because she was like, I literally wrote this down because she's like, Set, no, don't. And then like stands there and he looks at her. It's because he's going to fuck her later.
Yep.
Like, but they don't explain it because I was like, that's it. That's all it takes is her to be like, no. And then later on they have sex. And I was like, oh, so that was her offering up like, if you don't kill him, you can have my boobies.
But the thing, but I mean, like in terms of storyline narrative, it makes zero sense because like I'll just kill him anyway, and I can still have sex with you.
It doesn't make any
It's
sense.
Not like they're just gonna let him go wander off to the temple and hope
Boris,
that nobody
more
gets
like
his eyes.
bore us to death.
Oh, geez.
But can I talk about the fight scenes? Because this shit irked me to no fucking belief.
Rotating camera.
Like, I'll put aside their fucking Mighty Morphin transformation shit for later. We'll talk about that later because there were some times that, dude, when Goldar happened, I literally was like, that is fucking Goldar. Yeah. But anyway, the fight scenes are terrible. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. The choreography, I bet you the stunt team tried to do something well with these actors, but like, it just was not good. So you have this shaky camera pan that happens every single fight scene. It's like this, like shake, it's fucking vibrating like you're holding a PlayStation controller, for God's sake. And like they keep doing, you can count it. I counted one time. There was an edit for every second in the fight scene where he's on the cliff with the Minotaurs, and it literally goes right to left, pan, left to right, pan, right to left. And it's like they go that 180 turn and like slow down moments that don't matter. And I'm like, do you want to be 300? Because this is not how you become 300. They were hitting to hit the other weapon and were pulling back. There was no time where it was believable that they were actually swinging to strike each other, which is what makes action scenes good, is if you're swinging with a follow-through to potentially hit the other person and they deflect at the last second like you would in an actual battle. That is good fight choreography. That is good fight acting. These two actors had no excuse to be as bad at fight choreography as they were. What's his face? Fucking Nikolaj was on Game of Thrones, and
Gerard Butler's been in every. He's the new action hero.
He's fucking.
I disagree with you.
They were horrible.
Yes, they were. I don't disagree with you on that. I disagree about them should have been better. Do you think they spent money to hire good choreographers on this movie? Come on.
No, I meant the actors should have been better because they have been in other things.
They
like
can't make bad direction and choreography direction better.
No, but if you...
Especially when you're doing it on a green screen.
You can have a terrible director, mind you, but if the actor is trained... Or you have a stunt performer who's in as, like, the extras. Watch Star Wars, okay? That fucking lightsaber throne scene that I fucking despise, that everybody loves because it's so visually awesome. The actors themselves are off beat. They are not blocking. Rey and fucking Kylo Ren miss their cues, like 3 times. And the stunt actors have to make up for it by twirling backwards in different ways and pulling back when they're supposed to strike them to hit them.
You're breaking my heart right now.
You're breaking my heart. I'll break it down for
God.
you. We can watch it together, Julian. I will show you every moment that they miss.
Please don't, because I really want to keep loving that scene.
I'm sorry. It's just because, like, I just know martial arts, and it kills me. It just kills me. It hurts me so bad. You don't even know. But yeah, that hurt me the most, I think, out of everything this film. Every time there's a fight scene, I was like, I don't care.
Matt, I know that you were hesitant to talk about this movie because Chadwick's in it, but I have to say this: the scene where there's multiple versions of him could have easily been cut from this film. It had like no business being in there.
Yes.
The scene when they're also walking on the horribly CG'd sand could have been cut. Like, this was supposed to be an action movie. Like, it shouldn't have been 2 hours and 8 minutes.
I feel like they cut.
I didn't know it was
good
that
scenes.
long when I suggested it, to be fair, in my defense.
No, I believe it. Like, I'm fine with you suggesting this because I'm glad I have seen it so I can rant about it. It hurt the entire time, though. Like, it physically hurt me to watch this.
This was a movie, because I remember the trailers for it when it came out. I just remember, for some reason, one of the clips they used in the trailers was Gerard Butler, like, one true God. And I remember thinking even back then, I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, this dude sounds like he's Scottish.
Because he is.
Because he is.
How did you guys feel about the Power Rangers morphing?
I fucking loved it.
That was the only
fucking
fun
loved
part.
it.
It's morphin'
It
time.
was so fucking ridiculous that I at least was like, well, I guess this was the vision for the film. Like, he just had this one. He woke up in the middle of the night, was like, Goldar, but make it Egypt, and was like, I'll make a whole film about this.
Like, there was so many dumb moments, like,
God.
for like Gerard Butler storming the fortress of like his former wife and whatnot, and
Such a horrible scene.
the fact that she waited for him in that room, talked to him, and then tried to get away rather than, why didn't she just fly away?
Wings. Fucking get out of
Oh,
there.
are we talking about ISIS?
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Okay,
was
I am
was that
pissed
ISIS?
the
I
fuck.
think it was
Yeah, no,
ISIS,
that should have
That's
been ISIS. If
yeah.
there's no reason to give a woman wings that she's not going to be ISIS. So you better check it up. Check it. I
I'm
want to
looking
know.
there.
I want to know
I want to know.
because that should be ISIS.
No, Isis is the wife of Osiris and the mother of Horus, so that wasn't Isis. His wife was
Fuck.
There were a lot of people with wings, though.
I think Nephthys, was his wife. Nephthys. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but
Fuck.
Could we talk about the racist snakes? How the black warrior had a black snake and the white warrior had a white snake? I think I just broke her.
I like the fact that also they made a reference in that to their venom. Like, I can't withstand that, and they're shooting fire.
My eye is
It's like,
twitching.
what?
My eye is twitching right now. Like, that is how annoyed I've become again.
Like, that wasn't even that. Like, because I remember I even thought that I was like, wait, they're not shooting poison or acid or something. They're shooting fire. That's not venom. That's fire.
I don't know, man.
This is the last thing I want to talk about with this movie with you
The
guys.
last?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've already been ranting for a long time. It just feels like not. Because,
Okay, then I'll speed read the rest of my things from the first 30 minutes.
hold on one sec.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to talk about something we've already mentioned 1,000 times, and that's all the fucking white people in this movie. What I'd like to know is, even though it did horribly, and maybe that is the reason, how did this movie get away with this and not have some kind of huge outrage and outcry?
Because nobody saw it.
Yeah,
Everybody knew what it was and nobody saw it.
I remember there's actually you can look it up on YouTube because it is fantastic from one of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, because they did like one of their transition bits they did where it was
oh, and now this.
yeah, like and it was just like Hollywood whitewashing. How is this still a thing? And they specifically mentioned gods of Egypt and all that, and just like, yes, you need the and they talked about the movie the one with Christian Bale where he was Moses.
Oh, God, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
don't even remember the
and
name
they
of it.
basically, I think it was just Exodus, I want to say.
Yeah.
But they basically brought up the whole thing where I think it was Ridley Scott said, I can't make a movie and cast so and so from Syria or whatever in the lead role, and they go, that's right, you need the raw star power, whoever the fuck this is, the guy who played Ramses in that movie, and but yeah, oh God, I don't like the thing about, and I guess the positive from this movie is, had it had a cast of like people of color, then that would have been their excuse, like, this is why we can't cast them in these roles, because
There's no excuse anymore.
no, I know there absolutely isn't, but I mean, like, this movie would have been shit no matter who was in it. Like, Chadwick Boseman's in it, and the dude was a legit great actor.
Oh, the writing was so bad.
Yeah, and
so bad. Dialogue
so,
terrible.
As I said, my positive I'll take away from this is at least you didn't ruin the careers of people of color in it by having them in like all of the roles.
And yet Gerard Butler's still making like 1,000 White House Down movies.
Well, this was one White House that let me down. So I'll quick read some of my things. I hate it when they give people British accents in these, quote, historic films. Like, speaking in a British accent does not take you back in time. What the fuck? So stupid. The next one's when I figured out she was giving permission for him to fuck her. Got it. The next one, why the fuck would you pull the arrow out? When his girlfriend gets shot with the arrow in the chest, he immediately rips it out. I'm like, way to fucking kill her, you idiot. fucking idiot. Do you know how arrows work? They do more damage when you pull them out. You have to snap them on. It's a whole thing.
They also wasted Rufus Sewell, who is like another great actor.
Who did Rufus Sewell play?
He was the architect. He was the one who shot his girlfriend.
Yeah, but also I was like, why does the architect of the universe gotta be white too?
Also something else is that this movie like absolutely annoyed the fuck out of me is when Set took over and started enslaving people, they made it seem like slavery was kind of an inconvenience for some of the people in this movie. Like she was enslaved by him, and I'm just like, and they're like, oh, it's so great to see. I'm like, they're acting like slavery's not a big deal for them. I had
a huge problem with that too.
Like,
oh yeah, so every time they brought up slavery and then it was like just gloss, I was like, this is terrible.
That was two of my other notes. This movie, I think, was directed by flat earthers because the Earth was fucking flat in the movie.
I need to find out who directed this because I have so many words to tell them.
Wales or
Hang
something.
on, I got it.
Here's a few more. Ready? The part where they're talking about when Beck was mentioning Ra or whatever. He's like, Ra, the sun god Ra, and I'm like, no fucking Egyptian would say that. No 8-year-old anywhere in the world would say that. We all know who the fuck Ra is. That's like saying Zeus. You mean the god of thunder and creation, Zeus? Like.
So the director's name is Alex Proyas, who directed The Crow, Dark City, iRobot, Knowing, and Gods of Egypt.
How the fuck do you direct all those films and then this one turns out this way?
Apparently he was born in Egypt to ethnic Greek parents, but his nationality is listed as Australian.
Of course he's fucking Australian who's lived in Egypt, because this makes no sense.
I don't even know what soundbite to play right now because I can't believe that I'm hearing that.
Like,
why would you ever sign on to this fucking movie?
Oh my God, I'm just looking at his filmography. He doesn't have a lot of movies under his belt, but he's got like The Crow and Dark City. I would legit place as like great
movies. They're great.
Yeah, that's
what I was saying. And like even Knowing's a passable film. Like it's okay. I didn't like it, but it's better than this.
Oh my God.
Set's helmet made him look like a xenomorph. Okay, I just have to talk about it. Also, are we in Egypt? Because I'm in denial of this film. I'm gonna skip that one. Oh God. My favorite line in the entire film, I noted as praise Ra, because it was sarcastic when he says it. One is just I hate Beck. Let's scroll down.
I have one thing we need to talk about.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know what the best part of this movie was?
Oh God, what?
The very, very end when dude gives Horace the bracelet and he's like, oh, I have to go hunt down for my love. And that's like, oh shit, we're setting this movie up for a sequel that's never gonna
so many people have asked,
happen.
when is Gods of Egypt 2 gonna happen?
And the answer is fucking never.
So here's a question I had in this movie, and you mentioning that just reminded me of it. So when Set takes over and he's like, how you get into the afterlife is your wealth and stuff like that. I wanted to know, like, in the afterlife, do they have like a bureaucratic reshuffling? Like, hang on, guys, everybody stop the line for a second. Everybody stop. All right, how much money you got? Okay, sorry, you're done. Go.
Do you have enough to cross the river Styx? Yeah, I know this is supposed to be Egypt. Doesn't matter. Yep. 2 pence. Okay, let's go.
Because then right at the end, because like that whole scene when like they're weighing the thing, and I'm like, that's not how that works at all. And I'm like, that's right. He changed the rules. I'm like, how do they in the land of the dead give a shit what he says?
Dude, Anubis would have never put up with that. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like they would have just been like, oh yeah, whatever. We don't give a shit what Set says
so
about the afterlife.
the real question is, who greenlit this? Why?
Some
just
white
why?
dudes, and then they were watching test footage and be like, yes.
It is time for the all-knowing,
oh gee, I wonder
all-loving
God Ra
bargain bin meter score.
Jesus Christ. We're gonna have to make an underworld level.
I can go first if need be.
Yeah,
it's gonna be garage sale, yard sale. It's the worst. This movie is the fucking worst. I never want to see this goddamn movie again. I can't wait for the rental time that I expire. So it's not. I don't even have to open up my Vudu account and see it sitting in there.
Because do you want to watch again?
Because right now I open up my account and it's just like, hey, you still have 11 more hours to watch Gods of Egypt again.
Oh wow, you can watch it twice. Because it felt like fucking forever.
Felt like I was standing in line.
I'm
in the land
sorry,
of the
Julian.
dead.
I'm so toasty about
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, it's
thrilled.
getting the lowest rating. I know we're not creating more tiers to the
Says
the
you.
fucking-
I always create a new tier.
Well, if we're
Both are
creating
killing me.
a new tier, it is fucking like Underworld, Anubis, like the lowest levels where they keep the fucking dune worm, because we didn't even bring that up, but there was a fucking dune worm in this
That
movie.
was Apophis somehow.
So many teeth. So anyway,
Stop making gods of the
know.
underworld evil in these movies, guys. Hades
like,
and them are
white
not
people-
evil.
Hades
Just
was
stop.
a great character in Hercules and Xena. God damn, I loved Hades in those.
Yeah.
I
So bad.
am going to say something, and that is this movie makes Robin Hood look like a fucking Academy Award nominee.
No, yeah.
That's
Makes
that's
Cats-
that's
And you know
impressive
how
com-
much
It
I
makes
hate that
Cats
movie.
look like it's worth all the awards they thought it was going to get.
Yes, I'm going to say Garage Sale. And then that Garage Sale movie was so fucking bad, it somehow got transported back all the way to fucking ancient Egyptian times and got buried in the giant scorpion-ridden gold fucking whatever you want to call it, like Scrooge McDuck part of his palace.
Scrooge McDuck.
And it was just like buried in there amongst all the other shit that he's never going to see again because he's already got all the fucking money in the
Seth's
world.
garage sale.
Seth's Garage Sale.
Oh, are you interested in my movie? Like, no, I'm not.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you,
go
sir.
back to fucking Scotland.
He's like, check out these cassettes.
Like,
And next to it, bad DVD.
the last thing I'm going to say is for Mother of God, like, you cast Gerard Butler
The
to
mother of God is ISIS.
Yes, I know.
I'm just kidding.
The mother of God. Gerard Butler is always cast as like American dudes and like in these movies, and yet he never. It's like Liam Neeson. They never change his accent.
Yeah.
Like, get an accent coach, dude. You're not Scottish in every single one of your moves. You were Scottish in 300 and it was acceptable because it was good. That's about it.
Yeah. This movie wanted to be so many things in so many ways and managed to be none of them in all the ways.
It failed at all of
So
them.
we're just going to say, white people, please stop. Just stop making movies like these. If you're interested, quote, in another culture, hire people of that culture to make that film for you.
Indeed.
That's it.
Indeed.
That is going to do it for our episode. Next week, Brittany, we have a special guest announcement.
Special guest. So next episode, we're going to have the wonderful Reed Wilson on, who is going to talk about all of his amazing strongman feats. So he does awesome feats of strength, does performances all over the country, and even set some world records while we were in quarantine. So he will be
shit.
on to talk about that, and I'm not sure how the shows are going or if he's able to do whatever, but at least you'll know about it for when the time comes that you can enjoy that
Reed
again.
is a former Wade's employee.
Oh yeah, Reed is a former Wade employee, and that's how I know him.
Yep. And Matt, I think it's coming out next week. We're going to be doing first impressions of Cyberpunk. Is that?
I think it's December 10th it comes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it got.
Yeah, it's just, I want to say it's December 10th, 11th.
so
somewhere in that
that's
time
not next week, but we will be talking about any fun Cyber Monday, Black Friday stuff. That
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say we can talk about Cyberpunk in general, even if it's not the game, because like I love Cyberpunk.
right.
Yeah.
And then obviously we will have Mando chapter 13, lucky
Yes.
number 13.
I have
the
a feeling that
Jedi.
episode's going to be taken up by most of us gushing about Ahsoka.
I
Like,
do
"Oh my
believe
God!"
I do believe that will be most
I
of
hope
the
so.
episode.
What if they make us
so.
wait one more?
If they do, I'll scream. Anyway, that'll be next week. That does it for this episode. For Brittany, for Matt, I am Julian. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Migliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.